What's the most uncomfortable situation a nice guy has put you in? I had to get a ride from a friend my junior year of high school. For some reason I didn't have my car. I don't remember all the details. He stopped about a mile from my house and pulled over onto the side of the road. He told me he had a dream where we had made out and that I was a really good kisser, and he decided I could either walk home from there or kiss him. Nice guy said he was doing me a favor by trying stick his hands down my pants. Because he was the only one that would give me experience being the size I was. Jokes on him. I lost 65 pounds after that and turned my life around completely. Had a very difficult, traumatic ending to a long-term live-in engagement. He went to jail. I decided to go to Europe to backpack for the summer. Best friend, M, agreed to come along. And was very aware this was a post-breakup getaway. To clear my head and have fun. He flew out ahead of me to visit family. I arrived at the airport to see him waiting for me in Europe on bended knee. Ring and flowers and all. I was furious. And that friendship was destroyed. Vacation was equal parts horrendously awkward and tense. And amazing. But ended with him drunkenly ranting about it all again in a hostel one night. Ultimately becoming surly and physically aggressive toward me. And a group of stranger hostel bunkies helping to quietly pack my stuff while he was finally passed out. And get me to the airport and home immediately. I haven't seen him since. About 8 years now. Met a guy at a gathering at a mutual friend's place and ended up getting stuck talking to him all night. Night ends and I don't give it another thought. Couple weeks later he calls my house. I didn't give him my last name or phone number. Since he now has my number. He also knows my address and starts showing up at my house at weird times. Sometimes with his equally creepy sister. Fast forward a few years. I haven't lived at home for at least a year. He shows up. Dad answers the door and just tells him I'm not in. Not that I don't live there or anything. Later that same night. Dad lets the dog out for a pee before bed. Dog disappears into the backyard. Chasing something she really wants to catch. Thinks it's a skunk or something until he hears the gate on the neighbor's fence open and close quickly. Dog has chased a person out of the backyard. My old bedroom window faced our backyard. We don't know for sure. But I think my dog chased that F-king creep out of our yard. FCKU Adam. Drinking too much on a first date in order to stay over at my apartment and sleep on my couch, and then try to worm into my bed at 3 AM. I considered him a friend. Stayed at his apartment when visiting his town. He slept in the living room. I in the bedroom. When it got late, he started making jokes about how he had hidden the bedroom key and that I should get ready for him. I spent the night half awake and fully dressed from sheer fear. In the morning, I packed and wanted to leave. But he wouldn't let me go without having a goodbye kiss. He physically blocked the door so I couldn't get out. I tried to play it off and somehow managed to squeeze by him without getting kissed. But it was a terrifying experience. And that was the end of our friendship. He said that he would commit suicide unless I became his girlfriend. Classic. Don't fall for shit like that though. Chances of them being suicidal are minimum. They're probably just some assholes emotionally manipulating you. Nice guy from college. We're talking trench coat and fedora. Fingerless gloves. Pathetically sleazy smile. The whole shebang. In a tropical country. At that. Who kept trying to talk to me even as I was clearly trying to do my homework. Now. I was okay with multitasking. I could do homework and listen and respond to him, but he wouldn't have it. Hey. Tuna. You know what? I really hate it when women, yes. Not people. Women. Specifically. Ignore me. I was dumbfounded but also really offended, so I shot back that I was listening to him. Even if I wasn't looking at him. No. But when I'm talking to someone, I want them to look at me. Friend overheard this and went off on him faster than I did. He left me alone after that. Not as terrible as the other answers here, but that was my first real taste of it. Let me sleep over because I lived an hour away and we'd been drinking. And he pulls the ole, you're really lucky I'm a nice guy. Most guys would force themselves on you right now, but I don't because I'm nice. You're really lucky. Despite us having been normal platonic friends for a few months before this. And me having established a few times that I wasn't interested in anything else with him. UHH what? Are you supposed to thank him for not upping you? I was on a Discord server and spoke in voice chat frequently. One time this dude came in and didn't speak. Only in text chat. He kept putting himself down for attention. So I told him that he shouldn't worry blah 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 just to be polite and try to get him to stop. This went on for quite a bit and I think he may have taken that politeness as something more. I had already told most people on the server that I don't swing that way and he got all down about it and literally complained to everyone on that server that he has a crush but she hates him. Fast forward an hour or so and he PMs me saying that it's actually me that he likes. I told him that I didn't like him back and that I was gay. Nice guy asks me out in high school on the bus and I declined. He gave me the silent treatment after that. The next day he appears in my friend group with his arms encasing one of my friends who looked clearly uncomfortable. He tells her he loves her and how great of a woman she is to be giving him a chance to treat her like a princess. He looks at me while saying this. I talked to her after and he had asked her over and over to date him until she said yes. She was a very nice girl and I felt bad for her. I told her what happened and that seemed to give her the confidence to stop the dating after only a few hours. We never saw him much after that, thank goodness. He was my coworker. And 20 years older than me. I know some people might go for that. But it personally weirds me out. Anyway. He started sexually harassing me. He would call at odd hours. I think he was masturbating. He left me racy pictures in my box at work. Gave me presents. So I reported him. And he got a little slap on the wrist. But next time he saw me, he started rubbing my shoulders and I told him to stop. Not to touch me. He blew up. Started screaming at me. In front of all the customers. Asterisk. After that though. He left me alone. Should have been fired. But hey. At least he left me alone. But unfortunately. I'm pretty sure he chose another woman to harass in my place. Good thing is he's on disability now. Out of the workforce for good. First boyfriend at socially awkward 16. Total a shat who wanted a girl to be a total virgin and innocent but also know how to be a total dirty sub. I was just innocent AF. This guy wanted stuff to happen between us but didn't want to initiate tea. I was so not tuned into SZOL stuff and he obviously didn't realize I needed to be hand-led through this. He would hint things to me but they would just fly over my head. Like I went to South America to visit family and I was online talking to him and he said a girl made him an offer. I to this day have no clue what he meant. He never said what she offered him. 16-year-old me was like, what? He then decided to attack me for not giving him a BJ the minute I met him. He started the rant off with guys in my class have done stuff with girls. And I finally clicked and lost it on him. The only thing I got from that relationship was a backbone. Wouldn't leave me alone while I was working. Kept saying it was a shame I had a boyfriend because you're so pretty and I'd treat you right. Overtipped, like. Way too much, because you are so beautiful. I work at a busy music venue. So he basically had to yell all of this at me while I was helping 100 other customers. I eventually had to tell him to buzz off. Which just meant he stared at me all night from the crowd. Waving at me. After the lights went up he came over and launched into his "it's a shame you have a boyfriend" bit. So I gave him some shitty excuse and booked it. Why come to a show if you're just going to creep on someone while she's working? Dudes creep on me sometimes. I think it is funny how the default seems to be that every boyfriend is a douche and treats his GF badly. All while they are the ones portraying girls like a trophy. Second date. A nice guy surprise proposed me in a mall surrounded by too many people. Oh god. Too soon. At least wait until the third date. Last semester of college I had a class with this weird and obviously desperate, but super awkward and negative guy. He acted really fake to boot. He always tried talking to me, but his intentions were super obvious. Aka women are not human. They are this elusive thing and I need to catch one of them. One day, I ran into the guy at the college shuttle. He said hi to me, and I did respond with a simple hi. I didn't really know him, so I left it at that. He sat behind me and starts audibly and angrily muttering to himself about how girls don't pay attention to him and that he just tries and tries so hard, yada yada yada. That he's being nice, but they're just bitches, etc. It was so uncomfortable and he kept bitching the whole time. I wasn't physically reacting. OFC. Why won't these f-king bitches see how nice I am? I went to a meetup group for the first time. The app is really safe and a fun thing to do if you're traveling. So I met a guy and I really enjoyed his company. He was very attractive and charming. So the next night he asked me if I would like to go out for drinks with his friends. I said yes and headed that way. He picked me up from the train station and told me his friends were just down the street at the pub. But first he needed to go to his apartment and charge his phone for 15 minutes. I agreed to go with him. Stupid, and when we got to his apartment he was still charming and talkative. Then he moved closer to me and started kissing my neck and smelling my hair. So I stood up and said, I'm not sleeping with you. And he got super pissed off and said that all of his friends were gone anyway and there was no group hangout and it was just a way to get me to come over. I was so embarrassed I didn't say anything and just left. I was at a party when nice guy shows up. He's an old friend of the host who's known for being nice on paper but a complete arsehole, misogynistic eye roll. I tried to keep my distance from him as I'd had scary run-ins with him before when he was drunk. He noticed my avoidance and would not leave me alone, so when he took off to piss in the bushes, I quickly went inside to the spare bedroom and shut the door behind me so I could have a minute to breathe. Not even 5 minutes later, the door swings wide open. Hey buddy, I was looking for you. He comes in and latches the door shut behind him, stomach sinks, then sits down behind me and starts aggressively rubbing my shoulders. Why are your shoulders so tense, buddy? After a beat, I stand up and say, dude, this is super creepy. I'm out. He responds, massages are creepy to you? No wonder you're single. I don't know what needs to happen to a person to make them this oblivious to their own effery. Oblivious people don't lock the door behind them. I went on one date with a guy I had met online after a year of talking. After the date I didn't think it would be going anywhere. He had exaggerated what he looked like Romeo, and after I told him this and we stopped talking, he rang 6 florists in my area to send me a dozen red roses. The worst thing about it, I had never told him where I lived. He had used my location on the Snapchat map for the estate that I lived in. When confronted about the roses, he sent me a full-length song that he had written about me and our one date. I was traumatized. We were friends until one day on Valentine's Day he brought out his guitar and sang to me in front of a crowd and ended up asking me to be his girlfriend. I had a boyfriend of 2 years, so I had to say no to him in front of all those people. Thing is, I had mentioned my boyfriend in almost every conversation and he still looked completely shocked that day when I told him I had a boyfriend. He was the nicest guy and I really appreciated our friendship. We stopped talking after that day though. I felt terrible. I have a boyfriend. Anyway. We were friends. One day, he decided to surprise me at my house so we could watch Jessica Jones together. Except, I was out doing volunteer stuff that day, so I wasn't home. He thought it would be romantic or something if he waited for me outside my house for like 5 hours. When I got back, it was like 8 and dark already. I asked him what he was doing there and he said, I was waiting for you so we could watch Jessica Jones. So we sat there for like 45 minutes watching an episode, even worse, the one with the Luke Cage sex scene too, in absolute silence. It was so painful. Afterwards, he was just like, I'm gonna go home now. I felt bad for him. And this probably isn't nice guy material. You gotta blame movies like 8 Days a Week for that type of behavior. Movies and TV shows make it seem like the geeky socially awkward guys can get with whoever they want just by showing that they're committed to being with someone, and that's all it takes. One time I was the nice guy. I was in my first year of living on campus during college. I had near zero experience with women and had never received the talk or anything from my parents. The role parents play in teaching their children about proper social interaction is really important. But that's a discussion for another day. I ended up really liking one of the girls in the next dorm room over. Sometimes we would chat or hang out with a few other people after floor meetings. Eventually I learned her class schedule by seeing when she came and went, and would sit outside my door reading, waiting for her to get back. Finally, after a couple of weeks of this, her roommate came over and had to talk with me. She laid out how what I was doing was creepy and how uncomfortable the girl was. I had no idea how to talk to girls or anything and was oblivious. I credit the roommate a lot with putting me on the path to proper interactions. I have another one. When I was 20 I worked in this grocery store and lived in the city. Sometimes the store was open really late and my walk home was half an hour. One of my co-workers who was twice my age offered to drive me home and I didn't really know him, so I said no. This motherfucker got off an hour earlier than me and F King waited in the break room until he saw me leaving and F King followed me home. Not in his car. He walked behind me trying to talk with me the whole time. I asked him to stop and he acted like he was doing me some great favor. It was like 11 PM and I just wanted to go home. Every time we had a night shift together he would offer to drive me home. I had to have one of my housemates drive me home on my shifts that he was there. And he would always come to my department to talk when we were supposed to be working. I wore a V-neck t-shirt. Not a deep cut V that actually shows cleavage. A cotton athletic tee with a college logo on it that was basically a crew neck but just happened to have a V-shaped neck. My ex-boyfriend, very religious, told me it was rude of me to tempt him so he would fall from grace and want to sleep with me. He kept making comments and passive-aggressively SLT shaming me the rest of the night. I had just come home from the gym and was wearing sweatpants over jogging shorts. This one's kind of funny. My old housemate went to bed once and left our mutual, but mainly his, friend downstairs. I was uncomfortable straight away because this nice guy is the kind who hits on everyone. Also I was about 20 and he was mid-30s. He asked if he could stay in my bed. I said no. He asked again. And again. And again. So I went outside and sent my friend a text saying nice guy keeps asking to sleep with me. It's creeping me out loads. I've said no and he's being a creep. Got back inside and realized I'd sent it to nice guy. Turns out that got rid of him quicker than saying no did. I'm aware that it could have ended way worse and I was pretty lucky that it ended up funny. I've definitely had worse encounters, but this one always springs to mind. A guy asked me for directions then proceeded to follow me for 4 blocks. He was lagging a little behind, but trying to have a conversation with me. I was 17. Shy. And seriously f***ed up about men. So I didn't have the self-confidence to speak up about his creeper behavior. Another man across the street saw us and he confronted the guy, basically telling him to FCK off and leave me alone. I wasn't as nice to my savior as I could have been. I was basically triggered and internally freaking out. I basically mumbled a thanks and left. I wish I could go back in time and thank him properly. Let him know what an impact he had on me and my outlook on men. I was more used to men hurting me, not offending me. I'd let him know that. Even if though I can't remember his face. Not a week goes by that I don't think about him. He did it because he's actually a nice guy. He didn't need any thanks.